suggest or support that this incident was related to a kidnapping or that this was a suicide. There is no information or evidence to this point that shows that this was something random, that there was something that was not from somebody that she either knew or somebody who she had some association with. That's what we're seeing at this time. So based on that information, we do not believe that this is a random act of violence. We do not believe that this is the act of a serial killer. We believe that this act was deliberate and personal.
So there, it seems we're investigating a murder that seemed to be deliberate and personal, right? Now, I want you to take a look on the screen, this report from Habersham Now, who's been covering this case in depth. And it says, a 6-week-old murder investigation in Habersham County may not have been murder after all. Sources close to the investigation into the death of Debbie Collier now say she may have died as a result of an accident or suicide. How about the family members? Have they all sort of been accounted for that day? Do investigators know what they were doing, where they were, etc.? Do we know?
Well, it's our understanding that the local investigators have pulled back from their investigation of the family members, of course, because Amanda Bearden received the Venmo payment that was attached to that cryptic message. There was a lot of question about her and any potential involvement because of the money that she received.
Hi there, my name is Ron Wright. I'm a professor of law at Wake Forest University School of Law. We're going to be talking today about the rules that govern when the police can go into a home and do a search. Now, when they're going into a non-public place like a home, they have to go to a judge and get permission. That permission is called a search warrant, and we're going to be talking about a particular piece of that search warrant today called the particularity requirement, where the police officer has to specify exactly where you're going and exactly what you're looking for. So particularity in search warrants, that's our topic. Let's go in and talk. Okay, folks, let's get started. We're going to talk now about the necessary components for a valid search warrant. In particular, we're talking about the particularity requirement here. So we've already talked about the components that you'll normally see in a search warrant. First of all, there's the application itself. This is a request from a law enforcement officer, let's say a police officer. It's a request from the officer to the judge for permission to go out and conduct a search of some non-public place, especially a home. So the officer comes to the judge and says, "Judge, I need a search warrant. I need your permission to go do the search." And the judge says, "Well, tell me why you think you're going to find this stuff here." The officer then gives what he or she hopes will be probable cause, enough reason to satisfy the judge that, yeah, this is not just a random hunch, this is not a fishing expedition. You've got, enough reason to justify some kind of intrusion on a private place like a home. So the application comes in with that probable cause showing. Attached to the application will be something we call the affidavit, where the police officer says, "Okay, I swear, under oath, that this is the basis for my request for the search. This is why I think I'm going to find this stuff at this particular place." So it's the application and the affidavit, and then the judge evaluates that, and if the judge agrees, the judge will give the officer the warrant. The warrant will include instructions about where you can go. It's got to be particular about the place to be searched and what you can get there, the stuff that you're going to try to seize when you're there. So particularity as to the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. The text of the Fourth Amendment says that, and to quote it here, "No warrants shall issue but upon probable cause." So we talked about that. Supported by oath or affirmation. The officer has to swear that this is true. If I'm lying, then it's some kind of extra penalty from the court for perjury. And, says the Fourth Amendment, particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. So what we normally draw from this language is that first it's got to be taken, the information, the application has to be taken to a neutral and detached magistrate. That is a judicial officer, whether it be a judge or some lower level judicial official. And then as for the drafting requirements, it's got to be particular as in the language of the Fourth Amendment. It's got to be under oath, as we've seen. And in many states, it's got to be written. It's got to be recorded. It can't just be spoken over the phone. Other states allow for a temporary warrant to be obtained over the phone, and then later on the details are recorded.
If you were paying close attention to the professor as he was explaining probable cause, by now you should know that the police fucked up, and so did the judge. By the way, before I go any further, have you noticed that the media has not mentioned that cop name, nor that judge name, nor have they asked or professed to have asked for a copy of the affidavit? It's public information. Anybody can get it. Now, when that officer applied for the affidavit for probable cause to get the search warrant, he stretched it, he lied, he violated the principles. And the judge knew it, but still issued it because they had a hunch that she was the killer. I know she was the killer, but this is different when you're trying to get a search warrant. If you notice, the search warrant must spell out what you're going to search, what you hope to find, and what you're going to seize. So evidently, if you was just going to Amanda's Burden home to take her phone, you had no probable cause whatsoever. And if any attorney get on YouTube saying that it was, everybody know not to hire you because you'll be a goddamn lie. There was no probable cause. And here is why. She received the text, a cryptic text in a Venmo payment. At that point, what facts and what circumstances would lead a prudent individual or officer to conclude that she has committed a crime? It ain't there, people. It ain't there. Plain and simple. Now, when they did this, and then when they conducted the search, they was hoping to find on her phone not only if she sent the text herself from her phone, because I don't understand why you would even go down an avenue, but they was hoping to get her whereabouts on the tracker, the Google. She probably had it turned off, so they was fucked right there. So now they asking themselves, now what? So when they asked her, she probably said, when they asked her, where was you at on the day your mom left? She probably said, I stayed at home. And they said, well, who's your alibi? I don't have one. I stayed at home. Knowing that they can't contradict her story. Because if she stayed at home and nobody actually really seen her leave, then they got nothing there. Now, once again, so now they looking at a silver suit. So they done bagged up hoping that they don't sue. So they done bagged up off looking at the family, saying, okay, we don't think y'all had nothing to do with it. We think it was an accident and she committed suicide. Now let me ask y'all something. What motherfucker gonna go in the woods? Let me back up. What motherfucker in the world, let alone a woman that age, would go to a dollar store, a Family Dollar, whatever you want to call it, buy these items, go to the woods, and set herself on fire? Wait a minute. Smash her phone after sitting there, smash her phone at some point, and then set herself on fire. That shit is bullshit. You can't get a 3-year-old to believe that shit. So this is what you're looking at. You're looking at the Truckee, California move. Because when you fuck up, you got to do the trucking. So that's why they backing up. That's why they doing the 360. They fucked up with that search warrant. So guess what? Instead of trying to go after the search warrant, they should have been heavily interrogating Amanda Burden and her boyfriend. But what they did, they thought they was smart. You know, they got donuts for brains. Coffee, anyone? So they just fucked up, folks. So y'all have a nice day.